I don't believe it was God's plan that man not know the difference between good and evil. I think it was God's plan that man learned the difference between good and evil by following the Holy Spirit, not following the system of the world. Here's why I believe that, because the book of Hebrews says those who are spiritually mature know how to discern between good and evil. Did you catch that? They know how to discern the difference between good and evil. Well, that sounds, every man has to deal with good and evil, but those who are walking in the Spirit understand how to discern good and evil. They understand the difference in good and evil. And I don't believe that good and evil and right and wrong are necessarily the same thing. Slow down right here for a moment. I want to make sure that soaks in. I want to take you on a little journey. Most of us are raising our kids to know the difference between right and wrong. Most of us don't do much talking about the difference between good and evil because we think they're the same thing. Jesus didn't. In Matthew chapter 12, the Pharisees come to Jesus and accuse him and his disciples of doing things on the Sabbath day, a day in which God told you you're not supposed to work. And Jesus said, let me ask you a question. When David went into the temple and he ate the showbread that only the high priest is supposed to be able to eat, why was he able to do that? He said, well, let me ask you another question. You're not supposed to work on the Sabbath, and yet every one of you do the duties of the synagogue every Saturday. How do you get by with that? What was Jesus doing? Jesus just told you two things that were wrong. Was it right for David to go in and eat the showbread if only the high priest is supposed to eat the showbread? By the way, David was not a high priest. So by rule, by law, and law always leans to legalism. How can it not? Black and white's black and white, right? Break the law, you're in trouble. So Jesus said, David goes in and eats the showbread. He's not supposed to eat the showbread. Was it wrong for David to eat the showbread? Yes, correct answer. It was wrong for David to eat the showbread. But it would have been evil for him not to eat the showbread. See the difference? It was good in that moment. So I think we get I only shared that with you because I think we get a little too locked up on rights and wrongs and not carefully enough following the Holy Spirit to good and evil. Because rights and wrongs tend to shift, good and evil doesn't. Okay? Right and wrong even shifts generationally, it shifts culturally. Good and evil doesn't shift. Because good's going to be according to covenant, it's going to be the heart of God. Evil's going to be a breach of that. It's going to be against the heart of God. Wrong doesn't always bring chaos. Evil always brings chaos. Because that's all evil knows to do. And so all around you every day are a bunch of problems and a bunch of issues and a bunch of things. But here's the point. If man can't have evil in the world and good in the world, then you don't have free will and you don't have liberty. Because liberty, why even put the tree of the knowledge of good and evil there? Because it has to exist. It has to exist that the opposite of good is evil. So that when you see God and you see good, you can spot God in anything good. So it becomes easy. If it's good, it's God. I like what my friend John Sheesby says. If it's good, it's God. If it ain't good, it ain't God. I can't say it any better. I didn't say if it's right. I said if it's good. And that's up. We're learning to follow that and determine that by listening to the Holy Spirit. So free will is really the ability to have both. Now that's difficult because liberty's dangerous. Okay? Liberty's really dangerous. If you set people free, that's a dangerous society because people can make bad decisions. So, well, I just like to live in a society where no one can make bad decisions. No, you don't. No, you don't want to live in a society where no one can make bad decisions. Do you know what society that is? A society where your very thoughts, actions, words, and deeds are dictated by someone who's determined what is right and what is wrong. And you don't have the liberty to do that. They tell you that. Tell you where to work, how to spend your money, what to wear, what to say, what not to say. It's not just about freedom of speech. You get into compulsive. You have to talk this way. You can't talk that way. You have to do this. You can't do that. Well, it'd be a lot better if we just had the right people in power. And that's, I think, a very dangerous precipice we're dancing on right now, too, is this idea that it wouldn't be so bad for someone to have a bunch of power if it were just the right someone. And we've seen a lot of chaos happen in the world because we kept just trying to fill that vacuum with the right someone. Maybe we just get the right person in there. And then what a lot of us Christians are doing is just taking a step back going, well, someday Jesus will be the one on the throne. And here's the dark part of our prophecy. Jesus will be on the throne and they'll all get theirs. Yeah. Which is, I think is an incorrect way of thinking of your Jesus.